Put your hand up if you've ever felt utterly and totally beaten. I think most of us have felt at the end of our tether in some way, at some time or other, maybe even suicidal. We've had a sense of hopelessness. But do you know what? We're all here now, which means that each and every one of us have bounced back from the setbacks and adversity and challenges that we've faced in our past. But I'm not interested in inspiring a sense of resilience. I'm interested in helping you to awaken your warrior within. And when I talk about the warrior, I mean the kind of courage that allows a man to run into a burning building and save several human beings and a family dog, maybe even at the cost of their own life. I'm talking about the kind of superhero strength that means that a pregnant woman can lift a burning car to save a child's life. And I believe that every single one of us has that warrior within. It just needs to be awakened. Now, I awakened my warrior in 1982. And believe me, I was the most unlikely warrior you'd ever come across. I was the second youngest out of 7 children, emotionally and physically abused by my crazy, violent father. Bullied in school, bullied in the street, my self-esteem was on the floor. But one day, when I was 12 years of age, in 1982, I had a kind of awakening. I didn't know how I was going to do it, but I knew that if I didn't take some kind of action, I was already emotionally and spiritually dead. At that time, I didn't know that the gladiators used to enter the arena to die with honour, and that's what gave them their strength. I didn't know that the samurai were extremely fierce and effective warriors because they'd already surrendered to death and were going in there to do their best. But that's exactly what had happened to my mind. Life was not going to go on in the way that it already had been. So on this evening, when my father picked a fight with me, and my mother was 3.5 miles away at my grandma's house, I decided to fight back. I gave him what for, and then I ran at him. And I fought my way past him, down the stairs, out the door, and I ran 1.5 miles to a friend's house, and they took me to my grandma's house. Now, my mother came home and she threatened my dad with divorce if he didn't stop abusing me. 12 years too late, but it was better than nothing. Now, this was a Catholic area in Liverpool, and divorce was completely unthinkable, unless your partner turned around and said they were going to start supporting Manchester United Football Club. But what I didn't know when I fought back against my dad was, one, it would give me a sense of control in an otherwise hopeless situation. 2, it inspired my mother to take action. And 3, it brought about help that I didn't know was there. Because we don't know what we don't know. Now, fast forward to 2017, I was a 47-year-old man. Once again, I found myself threatened. I was told that my blood sugar was getting higher and higher and higher. My blood pressure was getting higher and higher and higher, and my risk of heart attack was through the roof. And this was particularly frightening because my father had died of a severe cardiac arrest at the age of 57, and he looked no older than I am now on my 50th birthday, as it is today. So in my mind, I thought, 1, I've got diabetes, 2, I was already worried about a heart attack, and now I could see the future because they told me that my dad had died of a heart attack because he too had type 2 diabetes. Now around that time, I had tickets to go and see a full contact kickboxing fight. And as I was watching these people, these young men, throwing punches and kicks at each other, it dawned on me that I would rather be in that ring fighting them than fighting diabetes. How can you fight an enemy that you can't see, you can't smell, you can't hear, you can't touch? It's insidious. I wanted to take back control. I wanted to dive in and throw myself at a real challenge that I could see and hear and smell. And believe me, there's nothing more tangible than a young man trying to kick the hell out of you. I made up my mind to get into the ring when the next fighter came up, and he too was 47 years of age. I said to my then 9-year-old son, who was sitting next to me, I'm going to get in that ring. What do you think, son? He said, Dad, go for it. I'm really proud of you. Now the problem was, I was weighing in at 93 kilograms. You could say I had a few extra pounds and I was wobbling in the wrong places. I had a back injury, which meant it was very difficult for me to run or to skip without getting repeated injuries in my legs. But I decided that even if I had to spend all day on the treadmill, walking or crawling, I was going to lose the weight, get myself down to 78 kilograms and get in that ring. Disaster struck when I injured my knee. It clashed with somebody else's knee. I was 3 months into training. I'd gone from not being able to run or skip to being able to run 3 miles with a 20 kilogram vest after 12 3-minute rounds on the bag. And here I was with 3 months left for my fight, and I was crippled. But like the gladiator who gets into the arena to die with honour, nothing was going to stop me getting in that ring. I'd made a promise to my son, and I'd made a promise to myself, and I'd made a promise to the promoter, and I'd told everybody else I'm having a kickboxing fight. There was a 23-year-old man there who'd also been training, and he was waiting to beat the hell out of me. How can I let him down? So the big day came. It was the 6th of July 2018, 6 months after my diabetes diagnosis. I had this ridiculous bandage on my knee, and you could see the sponge sticking out. It said, kick me. But I got in that ring and I was limping, but they let me in. They asked me, can you raise your leg? I raised my leg. And in the second round, shortly after he'd hit me with a fantastic uppercut, which broke my nose and changed the way I speak forever, I attacked him with 2 punches, a right, a left. He came at me with a kick. I lifted my knee to defend, and he seriously damaged his ankle on my knee. And there I was in the second round of a fight at 47 with an injured knee, and my arm was raised. Technical knockout. I'd won my fight against a 23-year-old seasoned fighter. So my lesson here for you is not that you necessarily go out there and get into the ring and have a full contact fight, but whatever challenges you're facing, whatever your ambitions, whatever your goals, whatever you'd like to change, I think you can change a lot more than you think. I want you to consider awakening the warrior within and go out and grab what you want from life. Thank you very much.